Okay, folks, let's jump into this review. Season 8, Episode 6, Web of Deceit. Okay, long story short, it was storming pretty bad last night in my area. I woke up from a nap at like 8:30. I'm like, okay, I got time to, get ready for the episode. Grab me a bite to eat, get everything set up, take my notes, tweet, then go live. However, not 2 minutes after I woke up, the power went out. And it was heavy winds and everything like that. So the power did not come back on until like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I wasn't able to watch the episode until, like 2 a.m. or something after I finally, got myself together. And yeah, so that's why there was no live stream. And apparently I didn't miss much of anything because everybody was like, yeah, you didn't miss anything, Jeremy. You didn't miss anything. And after watching the episode, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, it wasn't all bad. There were few, and I mean very few, moments that I actually truly enjoyed. But unfortunately, the score is a 3 out of 10. This episode had not that many great scenes. I mean, the reason I'm giving it 3 points, Marie telling Pam and Karen what's what, the sneak peek that we got with Robin and Fatima at the end of the episode, and the Zach and Michael scene. Everything else, it was a snooze fest. So, hopefully my review provides a bit more entertainment. And if you enjoy what you see, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you know when I post content on the channel. And I might do a live tonight. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. We'll see. So, as usual, I will talk about the episode in sections because let me just put it this way. Similar to last week, this episode did not need to jump cut from scene to scene as much as it did. It truly did not warrant that. I got sick of what felt like the 5th week in a row. Roots to riches, wreck your edges. And then the childish bickering. You know what? I'd rather... Maybe I shouldn't say this because I feel like it will be a jinx and then it will come back and haunt me. But I would rather those people at the salon chant roots to riches, wreck your edges for 10 more episodes than deal with the childish bickering between Sabrina, Danny, Tony, and Rich. That was just completely uncalled for. And then everybody at the... So all of a sudden, the background characters in this season are self-aware. Like, the fact that everybody in the restaurant was looking over at the table, I'm like, after all the times we've seen characters yelling at each other, now all of a sudden background characters like, what's going on over there? It's just like when Danny and Tony were going at it at the airport, and I'm just like, what? Now people are noticing when people are being loud or having a debate? I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about the salon stuff first. I feel like that's the best place to go. It will only take a moment. First of all, this scene pretty much confirmed that we didn't need Marie popping up at the salon at the end of episode 5 because they used the same scene again in episode 6. This is almost as bad as when they use flashbacks, the same flashbacks over and over again. This reminds me of the last season of The Flash where they did that. It's like every episode they spend at least 3 minutes using flashbacks with blue screens. And some of the stuff is stuff from the previous episode. Like, we were there. We know what happened. Well, yeah, Marie shows up. Vanessa's like, oh, you know what? We could sell out of court for $350,000 right now. Marie, I just love it. Again, the actress just eats every scene that she's in. And she pretty much lets it be known that, look, I got money, but guess what? You ain't getting a red dime out of me. And she says some other things pertaining to where she won't get money from. But hey, this is Marie we're talking about here. And we got like, how many scenes do we got? We got 1. Yeah, we had at least 3 cutaways to the salon. But can we just get to it? Just like the sneak peek revealed, Karen notices that she shaved the edges off. And, she threatens to sue the scammer. And she pretty much gets thrown out of the salon. And I guess because all those other women left, they weren't customers, but they were people that this chick probably hired to, get some money. That kind of confused me because I just, for the life of me, could not understand why all the customers would seemingly turn on Karen like that. It makes no sense. But essentially, Marie just makes it be known like, look, you know what? I kind of blame myself for not doing my due diligence because I was distracted with my divorce, but we're going to do a few things. Like, first of all, I need to have a business plan by the end of the week. Secondly, I want to get quality assurance on all of the products, the ins and outs, what goes in the products to ensure that it doesn't burn someone's hair off like, this woman claimed, because even though she lied, you just never know. And I'm glad this is taking place. These are the things I'm like, yeah, this should have been done. And I thought Karen, she did tell Pam about it, but Pam being Pam, well, let's be real here. Kind of like Marie, Karen didn't do her due diligence by researching what Pam has or hasn't done because she was desperate, rightfully so, to get the money that Pam screwed over from the salon to make her product. So I really like the scene. And from there, she storms out of the salon and Miss Lisa comes in, which kind of like Marie, Miss Lisa really didn't need to show up in this episode because she won't have a prominent role until next week. But before leaving, I like how Marie just, got these girls in the shape. Pam, get your business together. Didn't you check the ingredients? And Karen, stop with that defeatist attitude. That's no attitude if you want to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, or a mother. And I like that. I think Marie pretty much told Karen what's what. And I can't even remember when or if Miss Lisa ever had a stern talk with her daughter like that. Seriously, Marie just shut it down. I mean, the way she, got her out of that slump, like, girl, you better get it together. If I put my money in this business, you better, give me some results. So yeah, I really like that. That was good. Let's see. Hayden's just being an ass. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, people talk about like how he had his feet on the desk in front of Fatima, forgetting that she did the same thing to him in season 7 when she just strutted her way into his office and put her feet up on his desk, and from there even threatened to bust his kneecaps if she finds out that he's sabotaging Andy's chances to become partner so he can become partner. And I'm like, wow. So I didn't feel any kind of way about it. People are like, well, Jeremy, Fatima's feet weren't in his face. I mean, you are right. You are right, but let's not forget the fact that there's a major difference between the layout of his desk versus that conference room table. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say one person was right and the other was wrong. I'm just saying that in terms of the actual intentions, each one wanted to show, a power stance, kind of like, I got you underfoot, even though you think you might, have some sort of advantage over me. But I think for me, the real, douchebag move was when Fatima's in there, studying, and then he slams that mountain of paperwork and crushes her lunch, that salad. That thoroughly pissed me off. That really did. I'm just like, I get it. You're trying to get your get back on Fatima, but this is just petty and ridiculous. At least show some class. At least show some class to make people feel bad when everything crumbles around you. Like, if you at least had some decency, then, it would make sense. But basically, he's like, yeah, go back through all these files, look for any discrepancies. He's just being an asshole because Fatima's confident everything is right. Even when he tries to correct her on something, she pulls out the files like, his name is spelled right here. Yeah, well, because you got your nose in the book and, you and Andy are always into something, it's possible there are some mistakes being made and you need to go back and look through them. So that leads to, Fatima calling Zach. And honestly, for the people who are like, oh, you hate Fatima, I feel bad in terms of, we know that she's potentially pregnant right now. And Hayden is just making things worse for her and she's stressed out about a lot. So I just feel bad. If nothing else, I wish she would just take a leave from absence from the law firm if she could and just go home and, be like a stay-at-home mom and help out with Michael, but also focus on her schoolwork. She just needs to. There's a whole lot of mess going around. It's like, let's be real here. Andy without Fatima and Fatima without Andy in the office, they just can't make it. So I think it's best they both step away because there's a lot going on and Fatima's going through it. But yeah, she calls Zach And, I think that there was a meeting with the teacher that Zach had to go to. Of course, Zach is talking about being there for his woman. Hating, acting up again. Do you need me to come down there? Look, I got a fresh carton of eggs. So I'm like, yo, is he trying to like egg him, his house or his car? That would be hilarious. That is classic Zach. But Fatima says something pretty good that I'm like, wow, I wish Zach would have thought about that more in Zatima. Hey, you got custody of Michael now, so I don't want you doing anything reckless that can wind up with you losing him or getting locked up or anything. So that leads to this great scene where Michael and Zach come from school, and Zach is pretty pleased that Michael is developing, pretty well, and noticing social cues, and ask about, oh, Mama Fatima didn't pack you a snack. Let's see, do you want eggs? Do you want hamburger nuggets? He whispered nuggets. He said like 3 times. I loved it. Yeah. Fun fact, I actually had to do speech classes when I was little. I think I had that thing where it's like selective responses. I don't know what that was from though. I was like in kindergarten and I had to take speech classes up until 1st grade. No, oh yeah, I was in pre-K or kindergarten, and my mom was like, hey, when the teacher or somebody asks you a question, raise your hand or answer, because they wanted to put me in and I'm calling it what, I was told it was back then, like the remedial slow classes. That's what it was called. That's what I was told. Okay. This was like the early 90s. So don't cancel me if that word is offensive. But yeah, it was like, you don't want to be in that slow class. You raise your hand. You answer the question. Okay. And that's what it was like. So I thought that was really touching. I love that. I really did. One of the highlights in this boring episode. So Michael, I just love Zach's reaction, because I can imagine like Deval and Kadeen probably had that reaction each and every time one of their sons said their first word. So I thought that was pretty cool. So from there, we go over to Fatima talking with Robin about Hayden's behavior. And again, the dude has no class. Apparently, he's been going around the office just dragging Andy's name through the mud, saying like, oh, she's going down. There's no way she's going to make partners. She's going to be booted from the firm. I'm taking all of her cases. And, he's just, gloating. And then, Robin just says, okay, so let me know what's going on. Because apparently Fatima just goes into detail about all the various underhanded things he's been doing while Robin, was in the UK. So by the end of the episode, well, I already talked about it. The sneak peek scene we got. The fact that Robin says, well, you gave me an earful. I'll consider it. I will take care of Hayden. But, oh yeah, one more thing. Have you made any, headway towards getting the heat off Andy? Actually, I have. And then he pulls out the file folder, hands it over to Fatima, and the photos from when she confronted Gary towards the end of season 7 and got shoved to the ground. And whoa, this don't look good. So I believe there are only 2 other things to talk about. The, couples bickering at the restaurant, and I'll save the Penelope, Jordan, and Andy stuff for last. So yeah, we are getting through this episode. It should be less than 20 minutes. So yeah, we go over to the restaurant. Rich and Tony have a seat, and it's just useless bickering back and forth. I don't know how else to explain it. Look, I feel like I speak for pretty much the entire audience when I say these couples just need to break up. They just do. I mean, at this point, it should be clear Danny wants to be told by no one what she should be doing with her life. I mean, I'm with Rich. The only thing I did like was when Rich backed up Danny ever so briefly, saying like, hey, Tony, your heart was in the right place, but you shouldn't have blindsided her like that. You should have discussed the whole leadership program with your woman before you put her in that program. I mean, that right there was some good stuff. And then, I mean, even when Sabrina briefly backed up Tony, that's when Danny shut that down. So it just seemed like, hey, just stay out of each other's relationship drama. And then the, ladies try to call out the men for being gossipy and childish. Yet we've been watching you for the past 7+ seasons. You girls have, and I say girls, not women, you girls have no leg to stand on when it comes to criticizing these fellas for being, in their feelings and, bringing up old stuff and just no. And then the way it's like, do you have something for Andy? Like, you keep bringing her up and stuff. Like, why are you mad? Oh, because he hurt your friend? Yeah, just like you all hate any guy that hurts one of your sister circle members. So, again, what are we doing here? And it was even more cringy because the bickering was just senseless. And then you have all the restaurant customers looking at him. And Sabrina eventually calms him down. And then, her and Rich kind of make up, and then Danny just refuses to grow up and have a mature conversation for once. She gets up and she leaves, and Tony doesn't want to go after her, and like, I don't blame him. I don't. And then, they make him go after Danny to make sure she's okay, but to be honest, I would have just got up, left, and then without them seeing, went out the door in a different direction, because, hey, if Danny wants to be like that, she can be like that. Sheesh. I mean, yeah, it would be kind of awkward because they're still going to see each other at work, but whatever. I just don't care about these storylines. This was just needless filler. We could have gotten even better scenes if we had whittled down the restaurant debates in favor of, the salon scenes being cut down a bit more. So Marie could have had a, better discussion with Pam and Karen. But no. So then that leads to the final scene. Well, the final scenes to talk about. And it consists of following up on the Penelope slap. So Andy wants to run it back, but Jordan gets in between them. And essentially, this is where we learn several things. People were like, wait a minute, what is Penelope doing at the penthouse? Wasn't she in protective custody? Thankfully, they addressed it. She pretty much left on her own free will. Even though she was advised not to, she figured, no, I need to be here for my brother. So this is where things really get bad. Due to the bad press, his connection to Andy, along with the investigation, when Jordan had to go in there to be questioned about the stabbing, he is no longer able to run for city council. And that is awful. I'm just sitting here like, dang. Man loses his woman, loses his bid for city council, which he had in the bag. And he tried to soften the blow on Andy, like, no, don't worry about it. They were telling me, my run for office was, in turmoil ever since those false accusations by that young white girl. But then Penelope's like, no, don't try to make her feel, better about this in terms of it not being her fault. Let's be real. The allegations with that girl happened early in season 7. If that truly put a dent in his numbers and his bid to run, he would have been out of the race. And man, it feels weird to say that considering the real world election that just happened a couple weeks ago. But hey, let's not talk about that. I just feel like Hayden and Hudson are slime balls, but what they say comes to pass in terms of, look, Andy, you just have a way of ruining men's lives. Like, everybody who comes in contact with you, it's like you get into some shit and then their lives are left in ruins, yet you're able to just walk away scot-free, not a scratch on you, and it's on to the next one. But yeah, Jordan, which brings about an even bigger question. So the blackmail thing was, hey, I got all these photos and videos of Jordan passed out with drugs and hookers and prostitutes and this, that, and the third, and I'll release him, which will ruin his reputation and his run for office. Well, he's out of the race now. So, I mean, you can use that threat about the campaign money and stuff, but, well, he's out of the campaign, so that campaign money that Gary donated via, gangsters and loan sharks and stuff, does that mean Jordan's life is in danger now because he's out of the race? Not due to a misuse of campaign funds, but the fact that he can't run due to this investigation because Gary got stabbed. So you see where I'm going with this? If you watch my other videos, they released Rotten Tomatoes and a few other sources. They've released synopsis for episodes 8, 10, and 11. Gary's going to recover and Andy's going to have to play nice. So at this point, knowing what we know now about Jordan's current position due to Andy and the stabbing, doesn't that mean Gary literally has nothing to hold over Andy to make her marry him? I mean, theoretically speaking, the only thing he could do is threaten to lie about Andy being the one that stabbed him. See what I mean? When you really think about it, it doesn't make sense. I know I'm jumping ahead, but still, it just doesn't really work. Oh yeah, Penelope's ranting and raving about the whole thing. Oh, you pretended to be my friend and help me and love my brother in order to get me out the way, in order to, get Gary yourself. Yes, Penelope's rationale is a bit twisted, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. It's annoying how Penelope's acting because we, the audience, know who Gary really is. We know what Andy has gone through. But when you really take your annoyance out of the equation, did you notice that Penelope was sounding a lot like Andy used to in the early seasons? Let's say when Jasmine tried to warn Andy about Gary. Well, let's be real. When anybody tried to warn Andy about Gary, she did exactly what Penelope did. Or to an extent, Karen, but we're not talking about her right now. She would manipulate the situation in her head so that the person who was literally telling her the truth about something or someone was gaslighting her. It's like, I bet so-and-so is telling me this. That way I'll stop pursuing that person so they can have them all to themselves. Yeah, that's right. They're working against me. This is all a plot. Penelope is doing what Andy was doing. So I'm not annoyed. And on top of that, and I've said this many times, you have to look at things from her and Jordan's perspective. And I went back and I looked at the seasons. Well, actually, no, I lied. I didn't do it yet. I will do it, but not in this video. I went back and looked at the season 7 finale scene when Jordan goes to the wedding. Jordan, to me, I think he was the one that told Andy, just like the girls did, hey, I know Gary must have something on you. Like, you wouldn't be doing this if you didn't have to. It's like, he must have something he's holding over you, blackmail or something, but Andy didn't admit to it. So I still think that Jordan is left in the dark about all the details. And even though Andy finally says, blackmail! Okay, first of all, and this, I would love to know if the acting here is due to the script and the direction, because Andy, this was not a convincing information reveal. It just felt like I said, take your annoyance out of the equation. Look at how Andy was acting in the scene. And you could tell that Jordan and especially Penelope had the appropriate reaction. When she blurted out the blackmail and ruining Jordan's career and everything, the way KJ had Andy say those words in the body language, it felt like she was grasping at straws and was willing to say whatever she could in order to get Jordan back on her side. That's what it felt like to me. And I think if you go back and rewatch the scene, it makes sense. Oh, it's about time she told the truth. Well, it doesn't matter because she should have been said something a long time ago, pre-stabbing. So at this point, it certainly looks like she is lying just to make them believe her. So on the one hand, you should be like, well, Jeremy, I mean, haven't you been saying for so long she ought to tell the truth? She ought to tell somebody? Absolutely. But I'm not happy that she finally said it because at this point, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter because before the stabbing took place, I think the only people she told was Fatima and Marie. Yeah, she finally told the girls in episode 3, but by that point, it really doesn't matter. Because even if she never told the girls wouldn't have slapped her. It's the people who needed to know, she refused to tell for whatever reason. So this is just really stupid. So yeah, there's more back and forth. They don't believe each other. Or, Penelope and Jordan don't believe Andy. I think my favorite bit, though, was that moment where Andy tried to do that thing that her and Jordan did, where it's like they would kiss a finger and then like they would finger lock each other. And she did it and Penelope slapped her arm away. I love that. Was just a funny thing. Cause I'm like, yeah, it was really cringy because in season 7, I think maybe the writers took into, consideration what the fans thought, that we really didn't care for their lack of chemistry. So that little one thing they did, it just really didn't add up. But basically, I love it's like, Get your dirty finger that you kissed with your lying lips out of my brother's face, because she says the reason I came up here is to be with my brother to make sure he doesn't fall into your web of deceit. So basically, ain't no talking your way out of this, Andy, because Penelope and Jordan, well, mainly Penelope, they're going to believe what they want to believe. And Jordan said, I came up here to look you in the eye and see if there's any remains, any semblance of the woman that I fell in love with. And they pretty much go. Actually, Penelope threatens payback, and then they're about to fight like 3 times, but Jordan breaks them up. But she wants to talk with Jordan alone, and he agrees to it. But even when they're alone, he doesn't believe her, and then he bounces. And hey, good riddance. I don't care. So yeah, it just seems like we haven't seen the last of these two. I certainly don't think we've seen the last of these two. But yeah, this is pretty wild stuff. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.